think you can ignore all this talk about crypto, blockchain, Web3, NFTs, Metaverse? Or are you wondering if any of that applies to you as a business owner? Then stick around, because I'm going to explain kind of what these things are, but more importantly, what you need to know about them to run a successful business now and into the future. Hi everyone, I'm business and branding attorney Aiden Durham with 180 Law Co. in Colorado. Welcome back to All Up in Your Business. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that little notification bell so you get a notification anytime I post a new video. Now, before we get into all this metaverse talk, I want to make one thing very clear. I am by no means an expert in really any of this stuff. I would consider myself an expert in trademarks, of course, but do I really understand what cryptocurrency is or what the blockchain is or what any of this stuff really means? No, I don't. Has it been explained to me 100 different ways by 100 different people? Yes, it has. Has that made any difference at all? No, not really. Am I stacking sats anyway? Of course I am. The point is that I don't know, nor do I really care to know all the inner workings of blockchain, NFT, cryptocurrency, the metaverse. I don't know, and I don't really care to learn. But I know just enough to be dangerous and explain it to you. Because even if you're like me and know nothing about nothing, you still need to know how the metaverse is going to affect you as a consumer, and more importantly, how it's going to affect you as a business owner. Okay, so let's get into it. What is the metaverse? The easiest non-techie way that I like to think of it is like a digital or virtual version of the real world. Kind of like a combination of video games and real life. Using virtual or augmented reality technology, you can enter the metaverse and interact pretty much just like you would in real life. You can work, you can play and socialize, you can buy and sell and consume products and services. You can do pretty much everything you would normally do in real life, except you're doing it in this digital or virtual atmosphere. Okay, great. So this lawyer lady on the internet is telling us that the metaverse is just a digital version of the real world. Still doesn't tell me why I need to care. Now, look, I don't normally tell my clients to look at what the big corporations are doing. More often than not, what's good for a large international company is not always going to be good for a small business. But sometimes, particularly in this instance, we might want to take some cues from the big guys. So let's take a look at some trademark applications that have been filed by some of the world's largest companies in the last few months. Walmart applied to register the trademark Walmart for use with a bunch of different services, some of them including online retail store services featuring virtual merchandise, namely electronics, appliances, furniture, home decor, toys, health and personal care products, office supplies, jewelry, pet products, pretty much anything you can think of. I don't work for Walmart, so of course I don't know exactly what they're thinking or what they're planning, but I'm guessing it'll be something like, oh, we have entered the metaverse. Oh, look, there's a Walmart. And just like in real life, you can enter the Walmart and purchase various types of goods, except in this instance, they're virtual or digital goods. My favorite skincare brand, CeraVe, is getting in on the action too. L'Oreal, the company that owns the brand, applied to register CeraVe for skincare and toiletries to be sold to virtual avatars. So not only can you take care of your real skin with their products, you'll now be able to take care of your digital skin. McDonald's applied for a number of trademark registrations as well, including one for their M Arches logo design for virtual concerts and virtual events. So who knows, maybe I'll see you at the McDonald's Metaverse Music Festival in a few years. The Metaverse is essentially a brand new marketplace in a fully functioning economy that exists in this digital parallel universe. Think about it. If we as a species were to discover a new planet and we decided to, start developing it and colonizing this new planet, building a capitalist society on this new planet, best believe these large companies would be grabbing up real estate over there and doing all these other things to proactively plan for their business's presence in this new world. That's basically what they're doing here, except instead of a new planet, it's the metaverse. They're preparing and getting ready for the rollout of this whole new metaverse thing, and they're securing their brands with trademark registrations. So they're ready to go and have this presence and existence in this new world once it's fully rolled out. So what might we take from that ourselves as business owners? Well, the first thing is that trademarks are still very important, even in the metaverse. And at least currently, they work exactly the same way that trademark applications and trademark registrations do in the real world, except that the goods and services are different because they're digital or virtual goods or services. If you're interested in learning more about trademarks and how they work in both the real world and the virtual metaverse world, then check the description to download my brand new updated Brandish trademark guide, so you can learn all the fun ins and outs and details of the trademark application process and how trademarks work. All right, so we see all these big companies are rushing to file tons of trademark applications to get ready for the metaverse. Does that mean that we need to follow suit and we should be registering trademarks for our virtual or digital goods and services too? Maybe, but maybe not. Certainly, the best ideal thing to do would be to start the process to register all of your important trademarks for use in the metaverse. As, your business name, logo, any existing trademarks that you use that you might or plan to carry into the universe, it would be a great idea to start that application process now. Could you wait to do it? Sure you could, just like you could wait to register trademarks here in the real world. If you came to me and were like, hey Aiden, I am planning to start selling these new goods or services under my brand name, what should I do? I'd say let's get the trademark process started right away so we can secure your brand for those new products or services. It's really the same situation, and your new goods or services are these virtual or digital goods. But let's go back to my whole we found a new planet analogy. Trademark registration in the United States only applies to the United States. If you want trademark rights in other countries, then you have to register in those other countries or jurisdictions in accordance with their trademark rules. So if you came to me saying, hey Aiden, I'm planning to launch a business on this new planet, what should I do? I don't know that I would recommend starting the trademark process as strongly as I normally would. Unless one country or jurisdiction ends up owning the whole planet, who's to say that the laws of the United States are even going to apply in this place? Who's to say there's even going to be a government on this new planet? Maybe we want free reign to run wild and free and govern ourselves accordingly. That's also kind of like the metaverse. Metaverse, NFT, blockchain, Web3, crypto, something that these all have in common is this concept of decentralization. In the current real world, for example, if you close your Spotify account, you lose access to all of your playlists and you lose access to the streaming ability on Spotify. If you close a social media account, you lose all your followers. Really, we don't own much from these platforms. If we stop using these different platforms, we lose a lot of the stuff because we don't own that stuff. In this context, decentralization means that we own our digital assets and we can carry them with us between platforms, and we can own and sell them across these different platforms without some kind of penalty or without the need of authorization or permission from some centralized authority. I mean, I think one of the main reasons this whole thing exists is because people wanted more autonomy and less oversight and involvement from, government authorities. We want autonomy and ownership over ourselves and our things. So if we're talking about this new world that exists in this decentralized space, aren't we kind of contradicting that by imposing these trademark and copyright and intellectual property laws, which would presumably eventually lead to legal challenges and lawsuits, which would then be interpreted and enforced by a governing body? I don't know, but that's kind of what it sounds like to me. And so because of all of this, the relatively new technology and this whole theme of decentralization, the extent and scope of current intellectual property rights and intellectual property law is still very much to be determined. Generally speaking, it takes quite a bit of time for the law to catch up with changes to our society or our world. We don't know how intellectual property law and intellectual property rights are going to work in the metaverse because it's never come up before. It's not a question we've had to answer or even really think about until recently. We can really only make educated guesses based on how we know it works in the real world and how we think that might apply in the metaverse. So what should you, as an actual human living person, do with all of this? And what should you, as a business owner, be doing to prepare for this? If you are gung-ho about entering the universe, you are bursting at the seams with excitement, you are certain that your business is going to have a presence in some form in the metaverse, and if budget really isn't an issue for you, then okay, let's do this. Let's start applying for all of your brand's trademarks for use in the metaverse. Starting that application process now is going to be the best way to secure your brand and get you ready for this whole metaverse rollout. And let me be clear that since this is such a novel and new concept that we're dealing with, it is definitely a good idea to have an attorney help you with those trademark applications if you're trying to get into the metaverse. But for the rest of us, for those of us who are like, okay, yeah, I see, I get it, but I'm still not really sold, like the rest of us. Do I think you need to run out and secure all your metaverse trademarks right now? No, especially if you haven't registered any of your real verse trademarks, your real world trademarks. Prioritizing your metaverse trademarks should not be a thing. Let's focus on your real world trademarks that you're currently using. Then maybe later on we can focus on the metaverse. So again, if you're 100% sure you want to be involved and in this launch of the metaverse world, and you've got the budget to allow it, then sure, let's start working on those trademarks. But for the rest of us, I don't think that needs to be a super high priority. But that does not mean you can just ignore this whole thing altogether. You can't just act like none of this stuff exists or that this isn't going to happen. It is our duty as responsible business owners to educate ourselves and be aware of what's happening in the world that might impact our business, our brand, or our business opportunities, or our profitability, or the success of our business. And so if nothing else, even if you don't care about the metaverse, don't care about blockchain, but you care about your business, best thing you can do is stay up to date, stay informed about what's happening, keep an eye on some of these bigger companies and what they're doing, because all of these changes that are going on in the world and the metaverse world will eventually impact you and your business. If you got value out of this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. Again, I know you guys, I did not explain, I'm not trying to explain any of this stuff like in detail. I'm explaining just enough so that you guys can connect the dots with the law. So I hope I was able to do that for you. Stay tuned because in a couple of episodes, we're going to readdress some of this topic and talk more about NFTs and copyrights too. So again, subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. And don't forget to check the description if you want to download my Brandish ultimate trademark guide so you can learn the ins and outs of trademark law and trademark registration. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Aiden Durham, and I'll see you next time.